Cool. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's training session. My name is Jamie Bruin, and I'm part of the support team here at SuiteFiles. Today's training session is going to cover the scanning and templates functionality. So we'll have a look, first of all, at how to use the scanning functions in SuiteFiles, and then we'll go through how to create and use file templates as well as email templates. Just a bit of information before we get started. I will be recording this webinar and uploading that to our YouTube channel, so you'll be able to watch a recording of this afterwards. The other thing is that if you have any questions at any time, if you want clarification on anything, or want some further explanation or a recap on anything, please just feel free to send through questions that you have at any time. The best place to do that is in the Q&A section of the Zoom tool that we're using for the webinar today. All right, so we'll get started then. So what you want to do to use scanning is you basically generate a unique email address for a folder, and then any files that you actually send or scan to that email address will automatically upload into that folder. So the first step there is we need to generate an email address for a folder. So let's say we go into our business folder and we create a scanning folder. We can see we've already got a couple of scanning folders here. We're just going to create a new one just to go through for this webinar. So I'm going to call this, be really original, and just call this scanning for October 30, like so. You might already have a folder that you've got in your site called scans. In that case, you'll just want to use that folder for that. But what you do is once you've created that folder, or with a folder you already have, you need to navigate so that you're in that folder. And once you're inside of that folder, like I am right now, you click on the three dots next to the folder path. These three dots bring up the folder options, like so. And what we want to do is click on the Create Email Address option here. When we click on this, you can see that wheel spins around, and what this will do is it will generate the unique email address for that particular folder. So we can see this email address, it's very much randomized and unique to that folder. We can click on this little icon here to copy it, and what we can then do is we could put that email address in our scanner, or you can put it in an email. For demonstrating how this kind of works and looks, I'll actually put this in an email because it does the same thing. So I'm going to put in the email address here. You don't have to put in a particular subject line that's obviously got a typo. It's just important that you're sending it to that email address for that folder. I've attached a file already, and so any files that you attach and send through to that email address are going to upload into that folder in our SuiteFiles site. So I'm going to click send. Send prompt, and so I've sent that file off to the email address. It will take a couple of seconds, but it will actually appear here pretty quickly. And what we'll see is it will load, it will be uploaded into this folder, but we also have a specific section in the web app for scanning. And this is the scan section that we can see at the top here. So if we actually click on the scan section here, we can see that file is actually already showing at the top of the section. So October the 30th, that is today, the file that we had attached, which was called letter, and we can see the folder path it's uploaded into, which was our scanning for October 30 folder. And this section actually shows you all files that you have uploaded by sending them to an email address associated with a folder in our SuiteFiles site. This means that you could have, you might choose to create some email addresses for client folders, for example, and you could have, 30 different client folders with 30 different email addresses. If you were uploading files to all 30 of those folders, it gets a bit more tricky to keep track of those and go into each individual folder and move them around and rename them, that sort of thing. So you can actually see everything that's been scanned, regardless of whether it's in a different folder inside of the scan section. That's why we can see a file here in this folder. We can see another file that was scanned a couple of weeks ago in a different folder, another different folder, and you can kind of just see it keeps going. It'll also group scan documents by the date. So you can see these two files, for instance, were both uploaded in November the 20th, 2017. You can actually click on the date if you'd like to hide the files that were scanned on that date, like so. And it will actually tell you right here how many files there actually are for that particular date. Now, if I go back to this folder, I'll actually just do it in a new tab, just so we can keep this here for reference. If we go to that folder, so that was business scanning for October 30, we can see that file's there. Let's say we want to give this file a different name and we want to move it into a client folder from here. Of course, we could go ahead, we could use the rename option here, and we could also use the move option and move that into a folder. But it's actually a lot quicker and a lot more efficient to actually do this in the scan section. And so what you can do here, when we're in the scan section, we can see this is the current file name. We can actually add in our own text here, like so. And we can also change the folder that it's in at the same time by interacting with the folder path here. So for example, if we want to put it into a client folder, we first want to go back to the home folder. So I'm going to click on where it says home here, like so. And then I get to choose a subfolder option. And I'm going to select the clients folder. And then we want to choose a particular client folder. So we're going to do this here. Where is it? Triple B Burgers, like so. And so this is the new folder path I want for this file. So I can now click File It. When I click File It, it's going to rename the file, move it into this new folder, and it's also going to remove it from our scan section. So now when I load up scans, that file is no longer listed here. If you went and renamed, moved the file from directly within the folder instead of in the scan section, it won't remove it from the scan section. Only clicking that File It button actually removes it from here. If we now go ahead and actually look in that folder, Triple B Burgers, here we go. We can see that file has been renamed and moved into this folder. Okay, we've actually got a question here. So can this be done from outside the organization if the scanner has access to the internet? Good question. Yes. So because you're actually just sending files to an email address, that means there's no actual login associated to that. So in theory, yes, whoever actually knows that email address can send files to it, it does mean that you can provide that email address to a client, for example. If you generated an email address for their client folder, you could give them that email address. They could scan or email documents to that email address, and it would automatically upload those files into their client folder for them. So yes, to answer that question. The other thing is that if you go into the scan section here, just on that kind of example where someone might want to have an email address for some client folders, if you kind of end up with a lot of email addresses for folders, again, you can lose kind of track of which email address was for what folder, or forget which ones you've actually generated an email address for. If that's the case, there's actually this button while we're in the scan section that says View All Scanning Email Addresses. If we click on that, it gives you a list right here of all of your folders in your site that currently have an email address associated to them. So we can see the client's folder email address, we can see the business folder's email address, and all of these other ones that we've so far generated an email address for in our site. So it's a really easy way to kind of keep track of those. And that really sums up all of the scanning functionality here. If you do have, one more thing. If you are in the scan section here and you click on the 3 dots for a file, you've got a download option. You've also got a delete option. Just so you're aware, that delete button will actually delete the file. It won't remove it from the scan section. It will, but it won't just remove it from the scan section. It will also delete the actual file. That's why you always want to use the File It option if you're wanting to keep the file, but move it out of that scan section. I've got another question here. Is there any limit on the email size? That's a good question. There's no limit that I'm aware of. It's possible there is a limit in terms of, there could be a limit of how many files you could attach and send at once, or how large those files are. As far as I am aware, there's no limit, and we've never had we've never come across a case where someone has actually had files that were too big or had too many files that they sent to an email address. So I think it's pretty unlikely that if there is a limit that people will come across it. Cool, we've got another question. So if we give that email address to the client, are we notified when they send a document that is automatically saved? No, so you won't get a notification. However, you will see the files that they sent show up in your scan section. But obviously there's no way of telling who sent it. So yeah, just be aware of that, I guess. It'll just show up like this. So you'd see that there's a file that's been uploaded. You'll see when it came through, which folder it's been sent to, or which email address it's gone to, kind of thing. But you won't see where it came from. We've got another question. So can we see the preview of the documents they send through? Yeah, so what's kind of supposed to happen, and what you can see for these ones is it's supposed to generate a preview of the file that they've sent through or scanned. I'm not too sure why these ones haven't loaded. I would say for this top one, okay, that's actually viewable if you click on it. I'm not sure why the thumbnail isn't showing up for this one, but if you click on the preview, you should get this slightly larger preview. Well, this is really more of the preview. This is more kind of the thumbnail. I think maybe these were different kind of file types that were scanned or something. But yeah, you should see, first of all, a thumbnail like these, and when you click on them, an actual preview of that scanned document. Right, so, cool. Okay, so we've got another question here. Are there security risks with confidential information that the email address won't get intercepted or hacked? Do you recommend anything here? You know, because of the way that it can work, there of course is a security risk in terms of, really the main one would be if, yes, someone actually used that email address to send files through to your site without you knowing. That's more around how you control where you give that email address to. The email address getting intercepted or hacked, no one can actually log into that email address or get access to it. So yeah, it's not really a possibility. It's not, trying to think of how to explain it, sorry. No one actually accesses that email address other than the app itself. So basically, it's very unlikely to get intercepted or hacked. But if someone somehow did have access to that, then yes, but it's just the same kind of thing as if someone had access to your Office 365 login, they would have access to that. So yeah. That is kind of the end of the scanning side of things for the webinar. So if you have any more questions about scanning, please feel free to put them through now. Otherwise, I'll be moving on to the templates part in just a minute. If you do come up with any questions later on through the webinar regarding scanning, feel free to put them through at the end. We can go back through anything that you want to go through there. Oh, awesome. All right, so for templates, there's two kind of different templates we're going to have a look at. There's the file templates and there's also the email templates. The majority of the template functionality is just around how the merge fields actually work in terms of populating client information. So that's the bulk of it, which means we'll go through most of that with the file templates, and then the email templates are pretty much the same idea. So it's a much smaller kind of side of things. So when we're going through the file templates and the merge fields and all that, if you have any kind of questions around how they work or how we're doing things, please feel free to put them through at any time. The first thing that we'll go through is actually just creating that file template. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and actually open up an example file that we've set up already. So if we go into this one here, I think here and, whoops, sorry. We actually want that opening in the browser. Oops, this one here. So let's just do that really quickly. Cool. Okay. Cool. So this is an example file template. What it actually is it's a completely ordinary file The only thing that's special about this particular file is the fact that we've actually put in these merge fields here. So the idea of a file template is you can create a copy of a file from that template. However, we also have the ability to put these merge fields in. And if you're using the XPM integration, what it will do is it will take these merge fields when you're using this file template, and it will go ahead and look in XPM for the client you select, and it will pull through the appropriate information for this field from that client and put it in the file. So for example, this client business name merge field would pull through the business name of the client from XPM and replace this field with the client's business name. Same goes for the address fields here. It would actually pull through that information for that particular client. It will pull that information from XPM, and it will replace these fields with that information. Now, to actually find what merge fields you need to use, there are two different places you can do this. The first one I'll show you is in our Help Center. So this is just suitehelp.suitefiles.com. You can also access our Help Center from the menu in the SuiteFiles web app. If you actually just click at the top right, click on username, there's a link here to the Help Center. You can simply click on that. That will also open up our Help Center. And in our Help Center, if you go to the Zero integration section and Zero Practice Manager, there is an article here. You can always use the search in the Help Center as well to find it, but it's just Zero Practice Manager fields for templates. And when we click on this, we can see a list of the merge fields that are available to use in our templates. So for example, we can see we've got the business name listed here. And what you do is you literally just copy and paste that merge field. So let's say if we were editing this file, if we were creating this file template, let's say we've put in, let's actually make this a bit bigger. How do we make this bigger? Okay, sorry. Just a quick little note. If you have our Chrome extension installed, you'll actually get an option here to go full screen, which will put this file in full screen mode, which is really useful. I've actually uninstalled the Chrome extension, so I don't have that option. But just a little tip, if you install a Chrome extension, you get that, which is really useful. But what I was meant to say is you kind of have your content in your file template that's generic and the same for every client that you're going to send this to. And then the merge fields are where it's going to be different depending on the client selected. And so what we'd do is if we wanted to put in a merge field here, so we want to put something under there, we could go to this list from the Help Center and find a merge field that we want to use. Let's say we want to use, maybe we want to put the client business name in again. We can select all of that, copy it, and just paste it into the document like so. Now, you can see we've already got it at the top here, but that's how you insert them into the file. It's really important that you keep all of those special characters in that merge field, because those special characters are basically what format that merge field and what our app uses to detect that that is in fact a merge field. Now, once we have our file template set up like this, we have the merge fields that we want to use, we can go ahead and save that. And if we have the file open in the online version of Office, we can click on the three dots next to the file path and use the save as a template option here. Or we can go to the folder that the file is in, which is right here. We can go to the three dots at the end of the file to bring up those file options, and we can click the save as template button. What we need to do now is actually provide a name for our file template. Now, by default, it will fill that name in with the current name of the file, but feel free to override this or edit it. I'm going to actually call this 2025. And what we can also do is if we have template categories are kind of like folders where you can assign templates to particular categories. It's just a organizing type of thing. If you have those, you can click on this drop down here where it says select category, and you can choose the category you like to add it to. So let's say this is a year-end letter template that I've got, and we happen to have a category here that we've named year-end letters, so that's the category I'm going to assign it to, and I'm now going to click the Save Template button. Clicking that Save Template button takes a copy of that file and saves it in our template section. So it's really important to note that it's saved a copy of this file in our template section in our site. So what that really means is this here is still an ordinary file. If I click on this file, open it up and edit it, the changes I make to the file do not apply to the template that I've already saved. This is still an ordinary file as far as our apps are concerned. The file template that was saved is actually in our template section. That template section is accessible by going to the More tab here, and then Manage Templates. If I go here, I can view all of the templates in my site. And what I'm actually going to do is find that particular file template. Now it will be listed in this initial page, which just lists all of the templates, but I can also use filters on the left-hand side here. So I can look for file templates in particular by clicking on that. Oh, of course, it's already filtered by clicking on that template documents filter there. But you can also filter down to categories. So these are the categories I was just talking about. And I can select my year-end letters category. And you can see there, I can see both file templates that I've assigned there. This is the one that I just saved. And so this is the actual template because we're in the template section of our site. So if I was going to make any changes to the template, I'd make them here while I'm in the template section, because this way it will actually save as part of that file template. If I just go back a step, these template categories I was just talking about, they really are just like folders, except you can only have one level of them. But what you can do is you can create these, and when you assign a file template to it, it just means you can click on that category and see just the templates that you've assigned to that particular category. So it's really about organizing things. If you want to create a new template category, you simply click the plus button next to where it says categories. You provide the name for your new category. So let's say we wanted to call this something business and management templates. We would just then click the create category button. You can see it's created a new category down here. We currently have no file templates in that category. And we could actually assign some templates we already have. We could save new templates going forward to that category, but we can also just look at our file templates from here, and we could say this particular file we want to assign to this category. So we'd go to the right-hand side, click on the three dots, we'd hover over this add to category option, and then we'd select that category right here. And now when I select that category, we can see that file template is now assigned to it. So it's about organizing kind of things. The other thing is when you're editing a file template, so if we go back to our example one here, when you're in the template manager, what you can actually do is you can click on this little tile icon at the top right here, just under my username. And this will actually give you a list of the merge fields you can use. But the really cool thing about this is you can actually use this drop down to select a client from your XPM account. So for example, let's select 99 Corporation. And what it will actually do is it will show you a little preview of what will fill in for that merge field. So for example, we can see, I've selected the client, 99 Corporation, and I can see that if I use this client business name merge field, it will fill in with the information here, which is 99 Corporation. So this is really useful. We can see, for instance, that some merge fields like this one here don't actually have any information in XPM, so there wouldn't really be much point in using it. So it's a really good way of checking that out. The other thing is we have these custom merge fields. Oh, sorry, I'm not sure what just happened. Kind of looked like the webinar tool had a bit of a moment. If you guys just missed anything that I was just going through there, please let me know. That was bit weird. It just looked like my tool for the webinar restarted. So please let me know if anything happened or if you missed out on anything. And I'll just do a little recap. Yeah, what I was going to say was we have these custom merge fields as well. And these custom merge fields actually allow you to create a custom field in XPM. Cool, we can hear now. We cannot see anything. Okay, okay, cool. So, okay, cool. So I was talking about the custom fields. Okay, so all right, let me just share my screen again. Okay, that should be working. Okay, cool. So you should be able to see my screen now. So yeah, on those custom merge fields, what these custom merge fields actually allow you to do is create a custom field in the Zero Practice Manager. And then you can use that custom field, add that custom field for a client in XPM and add whatever information you want in that custom field. And then if you want to put it into a template in SuiteFiles, all you have to do is put in a merge field like this one, for example, and the format of it is basically just the word custom and these special characters, but it's the second word here. The second word has to be the name of your custom field that you've added in your XPM account. So if you want information in XPM that isn't available through our default merge fields, so like this one, for example, GST period, then you can add that custom field in XPM. You can put in the appropriate information for the clients in XPM, and then you can put that custom merge field in your templates and SuiteFiles, and it will allow you to populate that information. Okay, if anyone has any questions about that, in particular around how those merge fields work, please let me know. I will just show you now what actually happens when you create a new file using that template. So if we go back to our home screen here, let's go ahead, let's go into a client folder. We're going to go into our favorite client here, 99 Corporation. I'm going to create a new file. Cool, I'm going to click that create button to create a new file here. I'm going to select the file from template option. And this gives us our kind of template window where we can select the file template we want to use. Now, by default, this is going to show you a list of all of your file templates. As you can imagine, if you have a lot of file templates, scrolling through these is not going to be the most efficient way to find that template. So we have two things to help out with that. The first thing we have is the search bar at the top right of the window. And this just allows us to type in the name of the template we're looking for. And as you can see, it filters down to the templates that contain those words. The other thing, if we clear that search out, is we have our categories listed on the left-hand side here. So we can actually click on the categories to see what particular templates we have under those categories. So for example, my year-end letter template is under the year-end letters category. So I'm going to click on that and I can see the template that I want is right there in the window now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on the template that I want to use, which is this one here. And you can see there's some stuff that's popped up on the bottom. The text field on the left-hand side here is what the name of the file is going to be. By default, it will actually use the name of the template. And if you have a client selected, it will add on the end for with that client's name. And we can see it's actually selected a client here automatically. It's selected that automatically because I'm under a client folder called 99 Corporation, and I have a client in XPM which matches that client name. It's important to note, if you have a different folder structure to this and that you don't have your client folder name exactly directly below the client's folder here, it will not automatically select that client. So if you use groups, for example, so if we had a group folder called corporations or something, number corporations, and then this 99 Corporation folder was under that, it wouldn't be able to automatically pick up this client because it would instead actually use the group folder name to try and match it to the client. If that's the case and you don't have this client automatically selected, it's not a problem. All that means is you need to choose the client from this text field here where it says choose a client, and you can do that by simply typing in the name of your client and clicking on it to select it from that list. Now we can go ahead and create the file. We can either click the create button here. This will create our new file and it will populate all of those merge fields for us. Or a more recent function that we've actually added in to our web app is this enter field values button. If you click on this, what it will actually do is it will show you right here what merge fields are in your template, and it will show you what information is going to fill in based off that client that you have selected. So we can see, for example, this business building merge field here is going to populate with SuiteFiles. And let's say we've got a merge field here which doesn't actually have any information in XPM, like this one right here, client IRD. You can actually manually type in the information before you finish creating the file. So I could type in that information here, and let's say maybe the this field is wrong, so we need to make a change to that. We can add that in here as well. We can edit that. We're happy with all of this information now, so we can go ahead and click that create button, and it's going to populate that template with those little changes that we made for those particular fields. Coolio. So we can see all of this information has populated. Our business name merge field has populated with the business name. All of our address merge fields have populated here. We can see the postcode was originally 6012. I actually edited it just then, so it's now 1234. We can see we've got our date here, our primary contact salutation there. This was an account manager or partner or something like that. And so, yeah, we can see that those merge fields have all filled in for that particular client. So that's what populating templates allow you to do. Now, the functionality in terms of populating these merge fields is the same in an email template. There's very little difference. So if you do have any questions about those merge fields at all, how they're populated, what you can do with the population, please feel free to let me know now. I will just kind of show you what the email templates look like as well. Cool. Once you've pulled the information, can you change it, as in manually edit it? Certainly. So let's say this file right here, we've just generated that from our file template, but maybe we're looking at it and there's actually something we need to change. Maybe we want to actually change the date because we've already created it and we're sending it a day later or something like that. You can just use the edit options. Once it creates the file from the template, it automatically opens up the file. And depending on your settings, my settings are set so that files open in the browser. If your settings are that files don't open the browser, this file would have automatically opened into Word and it would have been editable straight away for you. But I've got the option here, so I can edit it in the browser, or I can open it into the desktop version of Word now, and I can start editing that file. So for example, let's say we wanted to change the date here to 01 November, and we can just save that. As far as SuiteFiles is concerned, this is now just an ordinary document in our site. So if we go back, it's just an ordinary file. It's just that it's been generated using a file template. Cool. If you do have any more questions on that, please let me know. I will just show you now what those email templates look like. Cool. So for an email template, it's very much the same idea. I'm just going to automatically fill one out here. So same idea, you have the content of your email, which is going to be generic for each client. And then you use these merge fields to populate information specific to the client that you're sending this to. So you just copy and paste those merge fields into the email as well. The things to kind of note about an email template though, is that the email address fields, so who you're actually sending the email address to, you cannot populate that from a template. That's just a restriction in Outlook. We can't currently do that. You can, however, put merge fields in the subject line. And one of the things that is actually unique to email templates, and it's really cool, you can attach a file that has merge fields. So this attached file actually has a merge field in the name of the file. And if we open up that attached file, can see that this file right here actually has merge fields in it as well. When we save this email as a template, by using the Save as Email Template option at the top left here, we're going to actually provide the name of our template, which is just welcome to SuiteFiles. Just put in the date here. We actually have an option to include attachments to be part of that email template. And we do want this attached file here, so we're going to tick that option and click the Create Template button. That's gone ahead and saved a copy of this email as the template. So I can now actually close this email like so. And let's go ahead and compose a new email. Now at the top left, if we go to the Insert from Template option, we can select our email template that we just created. And if we want to create just a copy of that content and we don't want to populate it with client information, we use that Don't Pre-Populate button. That's what I did just there so I could show you the merge fields there. If you do want to populate the email template with client information, then you just use the drop down here to select a client. You can type in the beginning of a client name to filter to it. So for example, if we're looking for the 99 Corporation client, we can type in 99 on our keyboard and you can see it's filtered down to that particular client and we can select that there. You can see that little acronym in the brackets there. That's actually just telling us which Xero app it's actually pulling that client from. So Workflow Max will be the Xero Practice Manager. Just you're aware of that. And if we click pre-populate now, what it's going to do, it's going to create that email from that template. It's going to populate those merge fields that we had in the email, which you can see here. We've got our primary contact salutation filled in. The merge field that we had there's filled in. This merge field's filled in. The business name and the subject line, that merge field has filled in. We can see this attached file has actually had the merge field in that file name has populated with the business name, 99 Corporation. And now if I open up that attached file, we can see the merge fields that were in this attached file have also populated, which is really, really cool. Cool. Okay. That's really it for the template side of things. That's actually it for this particular training webinar, in fact. So if anyone has any questions about anything that we've covered, anything to do with templates or scanning, please feel free to put them through the Q&A section now. I will be having a look at the recording of this. I have a feeling because the tool kind of restarted itself, it might have cut the recording short. If that's the case, we do have previous training sessions uploaded already, so you won't miss out on any content. But if you'd like to watch a recording, if we go to YouTube, we have a SuiteFiles channel here, and we actually have a playlist. Go here, we actually have a playlist just for recordings of training webinars. So if you want to go ahead and watch any recordings of training webinars, feel free to have a look at this playlist and watch any of the recordings. The training sessions don't necessarily differ too much between each one. It's really the questions that tend to change. The content is the same, so feel free to go ahead and watch the recordings of any of these or send them through to any co-workers who maybe weren't able to make it to the webinar. Cool. Okay, well, hopefully we'll see everyone in the training session tomorrow, which is going to be on the XPM integration. If anyone has any questions at any time, if you have trouble doing anything, we do have our support team. If you do have any questions or need a hand with anything, feel free to contact our support team on support@suitefiles.com. And we also have instructions and articles for things on our help center. So feel free to visit that, use that for reference at any time. All right, well, thanks for your attendance, everyone. Hopefully you got a lot out of that training session, and I hope you'll enjoy the rest of your afternoons. All right, thanks everyone. See ya.